All right, so plan right now is to take our completed assembly and turn it into an animation of a complete chess match. Now, I'm going to do the demo for I suppose it's shortest possible chess match. I'm not sure if it is technically the shortest, but a short one. It's only like 2 or 3 moves each team. And the key to the start is that you have all of your pieces constrained, or at least all the ones that you want to move, and they are all mates and flushes, 3 per piece because of the 3 dimensions. And that is how the animation is going to work. We are changing those offsets from whatever they are now to wherever we want them to be. And that's how it will work. Let's start by looking at our goal here. And if we go to Chess Set Project, you will see that there's a video file in here of the chess match. And if it plays for you, it'll look like this. Okay, and so we don't really have to worry about camera angle yet, but it is just pieces sliding all over the place. A piece moving straight out is super easy because it's just changing the offset in that one offset. But diagonal is a little trickier because you have to do both the forward and the sideways at the same time, and having a piece jump and go to diagonal is changing all 3 at the same time. And we're going to adjust how that works, but we'll just do it in order because that makes the most sense. The way we're going to do is we're going to go to Environments, Inventor Studio. And Inventor is kind of finicky when it comes to Inventor Studio because it's just asking so much of the program that we're going to save frequently and not stress it out by trying to have it do too many things at once. So we need to turn on the animation timeline. And this is where everything is going to, all of our controls or movements are going to be. And I don't need any of these tools for a while, so I'm actually going to shrink the toolbar for now. It's easy to come back, just keep clicking this little tablet shaped button to get them back. But let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, first thing I need to do is find, wait, do I need the thing up there? Animation, render. No. Okay. Wait, is it under animate? Component fade constraint. Yeah, I mean, I guess animate constraint is what we want, but I think we can do it from animate component. Should be able to do it from here. Yeah, we'll just right click it from the browser bar, just so we can have a few more pixels to work with. All right, so first one we want to move is the white pawn that is in front of the king. Why does this look backwards? Shoot, is this entire board backwards? I guess it doesn't really matter. Just so. Why is the queen on the right? It doesn't really matter which team goes first for the sake of our video. I'm not going to be like, you did the wrong team first. I'm going to set it up so that it's matching as closely as possible to this example, and keeping the camera in the same location. So the first move is having the pawn that, and if you don't know all the terms, just, I don't know, watch, I guess. The pawn that is in front of the king here goes forward, goes straight forward 2 spaces. So I'm looking for this piece right here, which looks like it's pawn. Oh, wait, we're in the 2s. It is that one. And I want the constraint that's holding it towards the back or the front, doesn't matter. Right click, animate constraint, and I'm at an offset of 13 from this side. To move it 1 space would go from 13 to 11 because each block is 2 inches, but I want it to go 2 spaces. So I want it to go from 13 to 9, and over a time span, let's just do a second. Hit OK, and you can see that's this movement right here is this bar here. And over the course of 1 second, that one piece moves that 4 inches. If you want it to go slower, you would stretch it out, and faster, shorter, obviously. And let's just go with 1 second for now. It's fine. Okay, now I want the opposite pawn to, let's do this a little slower. It's opposite to move forward the same amount to match it. So the opposite pawn is you can see if you mouse over the pieces in the browser bar, they highlight on the display there. I want that one, pawn 6, and I want to animate the constraint that's holding it back. So I'm gonna do right click, animate constraint. And at 3, I want to move 2 spaces to the forward, so that makes it 7. And as long as you have some amount of time here, it doesn't really matter, because you're going to come down here and adjust it. Right now, it's starting at the same time as the other one, so that doesn't really work for us. We don't want the second one to move until the first one is done. So I want to drag this so that it starts when the other one ends. And I only want it to last 1 second. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. And so I'll just put this back to the end of that one. The next move is this bishop is going to go forward and to the side, which makes it a diagonal, 4 places each. So even though it's going to diagonal, it's moving forward 4 spaces and to the left 4 spaces, but because they're happening at the same time, it makes it look like it's going to diagonal. Well, it makes it go at a diagonal. So for this bishop, which is bishop 2-2, yep, bishop 2-2. I don't know how many get that joke. I want to right click on this one and do animate constraint. I'm at 15. And I want to go 4 spaces. So that's take off 8 gives us to 7. And let's have it go from 2. Why can't we from previous specify? Yeah, maybe specify from 2 to 3 seconds. And so that looks like that's this one here. So over the course of from second 2 to second 3, it goes forward. But I also want to get the constraint for that same piece that's going to the side. Right click, animate constraint. Same thing from 2 to 3, from second 2 to second 3. Currently at an offset of 5. I want it to go 8 that 8 inches that way are 4 spaces. And so what does that get us to? 13. There we go. And so these movements, we can close up those two. And so this is the one that makes it go forward and back. This is the one that makes it go side to side. And if we have them occur at the same time, it'll go diagonal. Okay. And if when you make it, you don't make them the same length, it will sort of go mostly forward and then like that, sort of a curve. And that's one way to make a curve. In fact, I would say that is the way to make a curve, but we don't want that here. We want just a good old diagonal. Okay, next move is the knight on the far side is going to jump, as knights can do. And it also, as knights have to do, is go forward and forward 2 and over 1 in an L shape. If you didn't know, that's how knights move. And so that's another diagonal thing, but we need to include the third dimension. But the thing about the third dimension is we need to go up and down. So this is actually going to be 4 different movements. I want this knight to end up right here. So let's deal with the diagonal first. And then we'll do the up down. So we have not that knight, that knight. And let's do, okay, so it's offset from the back, right click, animate constraint. I'm at an offset of 1 inch and I want to be at an offset of 5 inch. And let's specify, I think we're up to from 3 to 4. We may want to stretch this out because we still need to make it go up and down, but that's fine. And then this one is the side. We're at 13, but I only want to move 1 space, so I want it to end at 11. And hit OK. And that made it weird. Let's see what we, so the one that's making it go sideways is starting right now. It's starting right away, which is clearly not what we want. So a perfect diagonal has both of them happening at the same time. And even though one is only changing 2 inch, the other one's changing 4 inches, because they overlap, they're parallel exactly. It works like that. Now we want it to go up in the air also, in addition to our diagonal. So we need to find the constraint for this piece that is keeping it to the ground, which is our first mate. And animate constraint, we're at 0. Well, let's put the timing back where the moving starts. Okay, we want it to come up in the air, taller than the other pieces, so it doesn't clip, is what that's called in animation, where things go into other things. We're at 0. Let's see if 3 is high enough, and just any size time bar is fine for now, because we're going to make it the right size. Okay, and so we have, this is the one that's making it go sideways. This one is the up down, and this one is the side to side. And if you mouse over, you can see the details for it. And let's see what we have right now. If we play it from here, it'll go up. Okay, so it's going up. It's doing its up and diagonal at the same time, which is not what we're looking for. And actually at this point, I'm going to save just so I don't lose stuff. So I'll close this and just do save. There we go. And I guess I didn't need to close the timeline, but that's fine. We go through, close all of this. Okay, so in order for this not to clip the pawn that is in front of it, I want it to complete its up before it moves forward. So all that means is delaying the diagonal stuff, which this is, you can see here where it says from 13 to 11. That is the sideways one. This goes from 0, duration 1 second, to 3. That's the up down. And this one from 1 to 5 is the sideways. So let's see what this looks like right now. It goes up and then does its diagonal, which is pretty good. I think we can start the diagonal even a little sooner. It doesn't need to go straight up. This is a style choice of yours. Whether you want it to have it like go straight up, then diagonal, and then straight down, which is what this looks like. Goes straight up, diagonal, and we'll do straight down in a second. If you want a bit of overlap, it sort of starts going diagonal before it finishes moving up. This is half overlap. Okay, and that looks fine. And we needed to go back down, which we can find that constraint, which is this one is the one that's holding it to the ground. But if you want the exact opposite as what we have, which is what we want, you can find the one that is, you want to make the opposite. You do right click and do mirror, and it will make the exact opposite. And let's put it there a little bit after the diagonal. And so it goes up and diagonal. It gets where it's going and then comes back down. We could start the back down a little sooner. And let's see what that looks like. That's pretty good. Okay, so just that one night movement has 4 different constraint animations. Okay, let's see what's next. I think the white queen, or whatever, the team 1 queen needs to go forward. I keep wanting to move this. Just 2 spaces is all team 1. The queen from team 1 moves, which is 2 spaces, puts it there. So I have my red team is team 1. So let's figure out which piece that is. That is queen 2. Kind of hard to see when it's already red, but I wanted to move 2 spaces closer to that constraint. So we're at -9, -7, -5. And let's specify from time from 5.5 to 6, wherever, which has it happening right after the night is done. We close that and put that. So the night lands there. That's a little too soon. Let's wait until the night is done moving, which is that. And we need to move it. Right now, we only have it moving sideways. We need to have it move forward also, which is this constraint. Right click animate constraint. We're at 15, so we want to go 2 closer, so that gets us to 11. And well, I mean, it doesn't from previous or whatever is fine. We just need to change the size of this, and we want these 2 to happen at the same time and for the same duration. So let's see what that looks like as is. Not bad. We can probably tighten it up a little bit, but again, that's not super critical. And so the queen moves forward, and then team 2 bishop moves all the way forward another 1, 2, 3. Team 2 bishop moves, does a 4, just like the first one did. I feel like I've messed this up somewhere. Oh, I know. This one was only supposed to be 3, not 4. So how is that possible? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess that's right. All right, so let's go back and figure out which bishop I messed up. That's this one. So instead of from 15 to 7, I only want to go 15 to 9, which will leave it 3 back. And I need to change this one also from 5 to 11 and not 13. So that should put it 3 out from 1, 2, 3, which is what I have here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then we did the queen and the knight. Queen moves 1, 2 spaces. Bishop moves 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So team 2, bishop, this one here needs to move 4 spaces. It's that one. So we'll animate this one. We're at 1. We need to go 4 spaces. So that's going to go to 9. And if it's negative, it stays negative, what have you. And we want this to happen way later. Like when everything is done, the queen move. Let's move that. That is when the queen stops moving, which is when I want this to start moving. Okay, and I need the same piece, but the constraint going the other direction. Right click, animate constraint, and we're at 5, and we want to go 4 spaces. So that's 5 plus 8, 13, and we'll specify from 6.5 to 7.5 and hit OK. And that right there. And so we do both at the same time, and it'll make it go diagonal. Boom. What's up? And so it goes. And then the next piece. All right. So 2 things are happening here. This queen from team 1 is going straight forward. And the other pawn that it's taking is going to be taken off of the board as if captured. So let's start by having this queen move forward the number of spaces required, which is, let's take another look here. Just from there, how many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, I believe. We'll put it near the edge. So let's find this piece here, our first queen, that one. And we want to animate, oh, it's going straight forward. So we just want the constraint that's keeping it that direction. Right click, animate constraint. And we want to go 4 spaces. So we're at 11. We want to go to 8. Excuse me, we want to go to 3 because that's 8. And just any amount of duration is fine. And let's see if we can find it. It's this one. Oh, pass here. Okay, so I want this one to happen after. That's, no, I want it to happen after that the gray bishop finishes moving. So that's where I want this to start from. What happened to it? I think I need to zoom out a little bit. What happened? This is strange. Oh, let's get rid of that. No. Where is it? All right, hold on a second. Why is it like that? Oh, okay. It's all the way down there. It's that. All right. So the reason why there are two on the same row is the first one was part of the diagonal because are you kidding me? Why is that like that? The diagonal had two, was the forward and the sideways together. And then this next one is just the forward. We can have it start there after the bishop stops moving. And at the same time, I need to do a similar movement to the knight move over here to make this pawn go up, over, and down into this area off the board. So let's figure out which pawn it is. It is that one, pawn, first piece. Okay. So let's make it go up in the air. That's the only one. The only constraint here that doesn't have an offset is the mate that's holding it to the board. So it's animate constraint. Let's have it go from 0 to 3. And let's specify from 8 to 9. Okay. And that is this piece right here. No. Oh, yeah, these don't line up with the rows. That's the problem. Okay, so this is still that one. And these are actually the same because one is referenced to the chessboard. The other one is referenced to the pawn, but it's the same constraint. You'll see it's mate 6 here and mate 6 here. It's the same constraint in this universe. Okay, so I have it going up. And I actually need it to start going up before then, so it doesn't run into the queen. And even a little bit faster than that. So it's done sooner. And then we need to go get out of the way over this way. So I want to animate this. We're only at an offset of 3. To put it over here, it's probably an offset of like 15. And that's this piece, this long one, because I specified or left it at 0. And that's why it's all the way over here. But we want it to end up over here also. So that's this constraint. And we're at -5 because we're 5 in, but we actually want it to be over here. So it's going to turn to a positive number. How about +5? And that's this super long one over here. Let's have it line up with the other one. And yes, it is getting kind of crowded on the screen space, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so let's go like this. This queen, the queen moves forward. Is it even going up in the air anymore? Yeah, it is. I want it to go up in the air first. So that's the one that goes from 0. It's that one. So let's save the diagonal to there. Let's have it go up and over. Sure. Maybe a little too fast. And I want to go back down to the ground. So I'm going to do that same thing where I do right click mirror. And once it gets over to here, it'll go back down. Great. And the last, this is checkmate. So the last step is having the king concede and tip over. And so this is kind of tricky because we actually have to undo the constraints on it in order for it to work, or at least 2 of them. And we need to have it tip over. So we can't have the one vertical constraint. It's tipping over sort of parallel to the side. So the whatever constraint is keeping it to the side doesn't need to change, but we need to tip over. So we have to get rid of the constraint that holds it to the ground and the constraint that holds it to the back. So let's first let's save it here. Let's leave Inventor Studio. Probably should have saved it sooner. In fact, I would say let's put it back at the beginning. I don't know if it makes a difference if you leave Inventor Studio like partially. Let's see what happens if we do this. It should go back. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we need to find the king we want to tip over, which is this one, called king 1. Yep. And we need to delete the constraint that holds it to the ground. Let's right click, delete that, and delete the one that holds it back. We're good with this one. Let's get rid of this. All right, so the constraints we want to make, we want an angle constraint because that's what we're going to animate. To make something rotate, you need an angle constraint. So let's do constrain, angle constraint, and the 2 type. This first one is usually the best. And so I want to angle constrain that vertical plane to something horizontal, and 90 degrees is fine. We'll hit OK. And we want it to always be in contact with the ground, but like the edge needs to be in contact with the ground. So let's do an edge constraint. Mate the, if you get just the sort of circle around, you'll get the green dot. No, not a center point constraint. We want tangent. Let's see what happens if we do center point. That's still, no, it rotates like that. No, we don't want center point constraint. We want, might be tangent constraint. Constrain tangent and outside. What is the way that I did this before? Well, it's an angle. Let's just see what happens. So right now, it's definitely not fully constrained. We have an angle constraint for the one going that way, and it's still lined up parallel. Let's go back to environments, Inventor Studio. And we'll bring up the timeline and give ourselves some more pixels to work with. Let's put the timeline at the end so we know where we want this to happen, which is like right there. Okay, and we know that tipping over is animating the angle constraint. And we want it for king 1. And it's the only angle constraint. So we'll do right click, animate constraint. We're at 90. So that means we either need to go to 180 or 0. Let's see what 0 does. And 0 is the right direction. That's good. But we need to do a couple of other things. First of all, this animation, this constraint animation starts at the very beginning, which is not what we want. We don't want it to rotate the whole way. We want it to not start rotating until the end, which is somewhere over here. So at night, and then that, and that piece goes off, and then start tilting. Good. So that's a good spot for it to start tilting. but we need to keep it in place. All right, so I think I figured it out. We want to constrain to some points rather than faces or edges. So let's find this piece. Let's find, where's its center point? Center point is up in the air, which is not ideal. It's fine. Most of you, if you followed the way that I showed you, the center point would be like the bottom center, and that's actually probably better. But no, I want that to be, no, okay. So I'm going to open up this piece because I do want a work point. So far, we've only made work planes, but we want a work point, which is that, to be on the center here. How can we do this? Center of a sphere, no, center on vertex, intersection of 3 planes, intersection of 2 lines. So I have one plane there. Where are my origin planes? So for most of you, if you made, like I said, if you made it the way that I told you originally, you would have a center point in the center of this bottom surface, but for some reason I didn't make that this way. But let's see, intersection of 3 planes. Okay, so what I'm just gonna make a new work plane here, and there we go. And then I will have 3 planes, the 2 origin planes, and that. So let's go new work plane, intersection of 3 planes. And like I said, you won't have to do this if you did it there. Okay, so now I have a work point there, which is where your center point will be. Okay, let's save this back to the assembly, and it should be able to see it. Hopefully, yep, there we go. Okay, so as it tips over, I still want that to be in the same place. So I'm going to mate the center point, which for you will just be in the drop down, in its origin drop downs, its center point. That's what you will do, but I have to do the one that I just made. And I want that to be mated to the surface there with an offset of 0. Okay, and now when we go back, let's save it before we go back. When we do the tip over, it's not going to sort of fly up in the air the way it did before. I am going to have to do a brief animation in order for it to not sort of clip in. So we keep going all the way. We're only worried about the king at this point. Okay, so it's still going to tip over good, but it clips in. So I need to have that constraint that I just made, which was mated to the ground. I want it to come up off the ground as the tipping happens. So that king is called king 1, and I just made a mate to the ground. Let's animate that constraint. Let's have it go. Well, I know the base is 1.5 inches, so 0.75 should be fine. And let's just have it go from 9 to 10, somewhere out in that range. And so when does the king's tip over? That's that one, and that's that one. So we're there, gotcha. And so it tips over. That's not too bad. You can see that work point is coming up off of the ground as it's tipping over, but I need to have it happen a little bit sooner, or I can just push back the angle constraint. Not that much. Let's just have the angle go a little slower. No, they need to start at the same time. That's pretty good. And we can even have the angle constraint go a little farther. Instead of to 0, let's have it go to -10. Too much. -5. -4. Not too bad. Okay. And so that's going to work like. There you go. Okay, so there is a finished animation. I'm going to save it now just to make sure we have this. All right, so then recording, same recording characteristics and properties and qualities as before, just max everything out, takes a little while. Choose a good camera angle, fill the screen, and let's see if we can get it right the first time. Let's record. Sure. We only need to go to where it ended, which was like 12 seconds. And preview, no render, launch player, sure. Frame rate 15 is fine. You can try to max it out. You're not going to get too much out of it. Make sure you put it in a place you remember, and custom broadband, that should be fine. I think you can get up to like 1500 and go like that. And if it doesn't look like it's going to fit in the screen, wow, that's kind of rough. All right, well, I'll end the video there, and because the recording is stressing out everything, I'll let you know if this wasn't the right way of doing it. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.